Hey y'all. So it is 11 o'clock on a Friday, and my son is a little more than 2 months old, and my maternity leave is coming up in a few short weeks. And I've been really struggling with the decision, and I understand that I'm lucky enough to be able to make the decision on whether or not I would like to go back to work or not. And it has taken me a very long time. Pretty much, I've been thinking about this since I went out on maternity leave. Like, what would be the best decision for me and my mental health, for my son, and then for my family altogether? And I've been struggling with it a lot, looked into daycare, and unfortunately for me, and I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, that one of my paychecks out of the two I get every month would go to daycare. So for me, it just doesn't make any sense for me to send my son to daycare 5 days a week for someone else, for me to just make a paycheck just to give to a daycare to raise my son for me when I can do it myself. And what I've been hearing just from talking to a lot of friends is that they're running into a lot of the same, or running into the same issue, if you want to call it that. And that is, what is the right answer? Do we send our child to daycare and go back to work full time, or do we stay home? And what makes the most financial sense? And I guess for me and for my family, the decision was really based on what would be good for my mental health. I struggle with, I do have bipolar 1 disorder, and I've had that under control for a little over a year now. But I do worry about my mental health, and I love being a mom and I love staying home with him. So that has been a struggle too. We did meet with a babysitter and she seems really great. But at the end of the day, she is still a stranger. And so my son being 2 months old is not of talking age. So it makes me a little weary and a little scared to think about sending him somewhere 3 days a week, even though it's only going to be for 4 hours, 3 days a week. He's not of talking age. So God forbid something happens, I'll never know about it. And just thinking about that just kind of plagues me with a lot of guilt. So I'm just really struggling with my decision on, going back to work. And I think perhaps those feelings will subside as time goes on, but I'm really not sure. So I was just kind of wondering, how do you deal with the mom guilt of going back to work, whether you made the choice to go back to work or you had to go back to work? And how do you make that transition a little bit easier? Because right now it seems like I've cried about it a couple times already about going back to work, and I know that I'm not the only mom that deals with that, but it just seems kind of scary. So I'm soaking up these last few weeks of maternity leave and hoping that, when I do go back to work and I get back into a routine, that I'll be happy with the decision that I made. But I guess I'm just struggling with it a little bit right now and not really sure what is the best, if I'm making the best decision for my son and for my family. So I guess I'm just really making this video to reach out to other moms and just kind of like brain dump a little bit about what I've kind of been experiencing, um, since I gave birth. And, I wasn't sure if I was going to be one of those moms who couldn't imagine a single day away from my son, or if I was going to be one of those moms that's like, I love my son, but will not but end of sentence. However, at the same time, I do and would like an identity outside of being a mom, and I would like my own routine, even if that does mean only working a few hours a week and just having that adult interaction. I do work in healthcare, so, and I do enjoy it. I love my job, I love my coworkers. So that was also something that I needed to consider too, is, giving up something that I love. And I know being a mom, it's all about sacrifice, and I would do anything for my son. But at the same time, maintaining my mental health is also super important, because in order for me to be the best mom that I can be, I need to make sure that my mental health is up to par. So if anybody has any advice, I would really be interested to hear, your experiences, like what you did with your partner, or if you do it alone, like how you manage that. Um, I don't necessarily feel alone, but at the same time, I do feel a little bit alone. But I know that a lot of parents experience this and go through the same emotions and feelings and thoughts that I'm probably having as well. So that was really the purpose of this video, is just to kind of put some feelers out there and just get some advice or words of encouragement on how to make this transition a little bit easier as I slowly transition back into work in a couple of weeks here. So if you have any advice or anything you'd like to share, I would very much like to hear it. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon.